pipe up.
I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more out of our punter.
I'm starting to puke.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I thought he was going to die.
I'm starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's on the probiotics.
Is Georgia playing the 1985 Bears this weekend or what?
A lot of Todd talk.
Rat poison proof.
They're mongoose.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction.
Well, these dogs will hunt, and Georgia picks up a pretty good commitment on the recruiting trail, as well as Kirby Smart continues to hunt on this 2023 recruiting class. My name's Wes Blankenship. This is the Georgia Show, and Tyler Williams, the 2023 four-star wide receiver, just committed to the University of Georgia. We will have our recruiting insider, Jake Roos, join us in a moment as he gathers his thoughts. Just popped in right here. Jake, I see you. You don't have your video up, but that's all right. We can still hear the dulcet tones of Jake Roos and the expertise of Jake Roos as you break down this Tyler Williams commitment and what it means for the Dogs. That was quite the recruitment, quite the commitment ceremony.
Yeah, I think that was quite the commitment ceremony, in my opinion. That was one for the ages right there, and look forward to finding out the breed of that dog at some point for sure.
That was not a bulldog.
Yeah, huge news for Georgia. Yeah, yeah, no, this is huge news.
Hey Jake, you're breaking up a little bit, man. Let's try this. Jake,
Goes on.
Jake, try just call.
Huge...
Jake, you're breaking up, man. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm going to get Jake to call my phone. But Tyler Williams, the 2023 four-star wide receiver, had Miami, had Clemson, had Florida among the finalists, and Georgia wins out. The Dogs, trying to do the best they can at this position, and this is a heck of a pickup. All right, Jake, sorry about that. Little technical difficulties there, but I can hear you now. So you were just mentioning how big of a pickup it is for Georgia. That's where you cut off. But obviously this is a huge position of need for the Dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only is it a position in need, this was a guy that they targeted so heavily throughout this cycle. Just huge believers in what the kid can do. And I encourage people to go check out the breakdown I did over at Dogs HQ on his skill set. It's easy to see why I think Georgia's so high on this kid and believes that he can be such an impact maker for them. You're talking about almost 6'3", 200 pounds, a guy who just almost started playing football within the last couple of years, or really started focusing on it. A basketball player by trade, decides to switch things up and looks like a star out there on the field already. And like I said, it's in its infancy. He's just getting started with this game. I think that the upside here is absolutely massive for Georgia, and clear that Brian McClendon and the company thought so as well.
You mentioned that he just got started playing ball. He's got quite the frame. Do you have any comparisons of players that people might already recognize as household names that might be a good proxy for Tyler Williams?
Well, it's an interesting one. If you look over there on On3 at his profile, the one that they compared him to was Michael Crabtree. And I thought that was a really intriguing call because he was a guy who converted over to wide receiver and then, became a first-round draft pick ultimately. So, the expectations are high with a kid like this. I think that anytime you get a two-sport guy who switches things up, there's some rawness there. But you go look at the film, and he's able to do a little bit of it all. And I wrote in the breakdown piece, I think a lot of his skills translate over very easily from the court to the field. Physicality, speed, ability to make plays. He's out there shaking and baking guys like he's, crossing them up with a dribble, but instead he's just making touchdowns. And I think that, that can continue to grow. And I think that Georgia really has a raw piece of clay here with all the tools necessary to be a really standout player.
Just got a few more for you here, Jake. Brian McClendon joining this Georgia staff. Kirby's mentioned how impressed he is with this staff because not only does it have a lot of former Georgia players that understand the brand of Georgia and understand Athens and how special that campus can be and how special the program is, obviously. But as far as BMAC as a coach, how impactful was he in selling his vision on this piece of clay, as you call Tyler Williams?
It was huge. I think that he had a chance to meet Brian McClendon when he was at Miami. And I think that the relationship translated over naturally once he made it to Athens. And so I think that that's been huge for Georgia. I think that that's a key part of this. I think Brian McClendon is – I don't think the kid's in Athens without Brian McClendon. And so there's no denying the impact of that. And he really talked a lot about, the ability of him to he talked about the ability of him to, recruit the kid without necessarily talking down other programs. And I think that was a really cool thing to hear. Not something you hear all the time either. Georgia impressed this kid and built a familial bond that so many kids seek in a very strong way. And Brian McClendon, a massive part of it.
Last one for you before I let you go, Jake. Appreciate you hanging out this evening with this late night commitment. When you see programs like Miami, programs like Florida, the home state schools for Tyler Williams, Georgia still going in there and able to get this guy. Look, I know it's not done until he signs, and there's going to be a lot of efforts made by everyone else. This commitment is not set in stone yet. That's just the way these things go. But for Georgia to have made this much of an impression, we hear a lot about Georgia's approach on NIL. And you wrote the other day about why Georgia fans shouldn't worry about losing out on top targets because of NIL. If they were going to lose out to anybody, you'd think it'd be a kid like this with Miami and Florida knocking on his door, and the Dogs still able to land him.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I encourage people, like I said, go read my story, but also go read the last story Chad Simmons did with this kid. He mentions that NIL talk picked up heavily over the course of the last couple of weeks of his recruitment. And he said, I got to be honest with you, that's not something I'm super concerned with. I need to feel at home. And I think that while Kirby Smart and company are having to handle the NIL situation, just like everybody else is, I think that those are the guys that they're focused on most and foremost is guys who are not super focused around that necessarily. Tyler Williams certainly appears to be one of those guys who is more concerned about the fit at the next level than he is about, going ahead and cashing in on his name. I'm sure he'll get to do that, though, if he progresses in the way that everybody thinks that he will.
Well, we have our NIL valuation of Tyler pulled up right now, and it's sitting at $118K, which is pretty solid, I would say. And you can read more about how we break that down over on Tyler's On3 database page that I've got pulled up right here. Jake, you've covered this from top to bottom, some really good insight and a great write-up over on dogshq.com. And like you mentioned, great stuff from Chad Simmons as well. A lot to keep you busy reading up on this kid, and a lot of film for Georgia fans to bark at as he brought that dog out. It wasn't a bulldog, but it was a dog nonetheless, Jake. So I appreciate the effort, and I appreciate your effort tonight as well, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for having me, Wes. I think this is a big one for Georgia fans to be excited about.
Sounds like it. See you, Jake. Appreciate y'all. Please hit subscribe on Dogs HQ's YouTube channel for more videos like this. We'll be live tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, as we are every Wednesday on our YouTube channel for the Georgia Show. And we'll highlight things going on inside the locker room, inside of Kirby Smart's head as the Dogs prepare for another SEC East road trip to Columbia, Missouri. We really do appreciate your support as we continue to grow this YouTube channel. We really want to hit 1,000 subscribers by this season. I think we can do it, but we need your help as we continue to put out some really good content like this on Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m., on Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. live as well, and immediately following every Georgia football game. Thanks for your support, and have a great night. We'll catch you soon.